pray this sound coming through loud. Alright. Let's get it started. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, and glory be to Yahawah, Sham, Yahawashi, Sham, Kakwadash, and double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone with true well and truth. Shalom to the Lord to elect. The names that we just called is the Father's name, the Son's name, and the Holy Spirit. Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Ba'ashem, Kakadash. Yahawah is the Father's name. That means He is, He exists. Yahawashi is the Son's name. That means He saves, He delivers, He is salvation. And Rakah Kodash is a spirit that's holy. Right? How you say the Holy Spirit in the Paleo Hebrew, known as the Lashawan Kodash. Right? The holy language, the holy tongue. This lesson is brought to you in the spirit, power, and strength of Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Ba'ashem, Kakadash. All right, and this lesson will be based upon, as you can see on the screen, this Sitting Bull documentary. Right, not necessarily that one, but I guess it's right here, directed by Leonardo DiCaprio. You know what I'm saying? It's going into his legacy from a child all the way up to some major battles and things of that nature, and how he came to be the leader of his people, and how he fought back against, the YT man, right? And even other Gadites, because the customs of their people was warfare, but it was honorable in a sense. It was close quarters, sometimes bow and arrows. That's what they did a lot, you know what I'm saying? And they wasn't gonna kill the women and the children. They was just fighting men. You know what I'm saying? Men would join, men would fight, and it was an honorable thing to fight, right? They was fighting for buffalo lands, really buffalo grazing grounds, okay? And it was just that's how it was. Now Gad, because Sitting Bull would be a Gadite, okay? That's your so-called Native Americans, right? Now Gad is known as a warrior tribe, right? They would be in the forefront fighting, and they was just known as the warriors of the Israelites. You know what I'm saying? The main, a lot of Israelites got down understanding that, but that was their specialty. They was warriors. Now let's go over here to Genesis, the 49th chapter, and go down here. All right. This is verse 19. Gad, a troop, shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. Right? Now let's get that word troop. And who is a troop, a band, troop, marauding band, raiding band, troop, band of divisions of army. Okay? A crowd, especially of soldiers, army, band of men, company, troop. Okay? So that's what it would be known. Troopers, right? That's where you get the word troopers from. It's a troop. So it's really talking about an army, a host, which is an army. So that's what Gad is. That's what they're known for in a sense. Now this is talking about who? They shall overcome him, the YT man, right? But he shall overcome at the, all right? Well, Slakia, right? Gad, a troop shall overcome him, meaning the YT man overcoming Gad, but he shall overcome at the last. Meaning, hey, who gets the last laugh? The Israelites will. We're gonna rise up, and we're gonna be able to, defeat this enemy that has knocked us in the ground, man. That has us under their shoe, with their foot on our neck. That's important to recognize, because this suffering that we're in comes to an end. As it says, I have waited for thy salvation, O Yahweh. Gad, a troop, shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. Right? So watching that documentary, you see Gad getting overcome. You see a lot of fighting. You see you got Dakota tribe, the Dakota tribe, And I was another one. I think it's Nakota. But matter of fact, let's go get it. I think I wrote it down right here. Subgroups. Nah, that's not it. But really, all these tribes that's around North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, right? That area which they was fighting in, this is known as the Sioux Nation, the Great Sioux people. As it says, the Lakota Teton Sioux are a prominent Native American people of the Great Sioux Nation. It would consist of a lot of tribes that was in that area. Now we know and we understand these are bywords, right? Calling us Sioux, calling us Cherokee, calling us Chickasaw, calling us whatever they want to call us. We Israelites, right? So these are Gadites at the end of the day. Okay, I'll read a little bit of this. Originally from the Great Lakes region, who moved to the northern Great Plains, renowned as skilled buffalo and nomadic horsemen, they established a strong warrior culture in the 18th, inhabiting present-day North and South Dakota. Right now, what does that mean? They're in reservations today in those lands because we lost the war. Right, battles were fought. We didn't lose the war, but we lost the battles. Right, because this war is continuous. This war really go back, to the garden, man. This whole existence is a war against this damn devil. Right? Life is a war. What is that? What is that song? I used to play that joint. The world is a ghetto. By the band War. And the war is a ghetto for who? For us, for Israelites. It's a position. It's a low estate. It's a trap. It's damn spam calling. All right. But I really want to get the subgroup of the Indians groups right here. Hey, I was right. Hey, man, trust it. Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota, right? Going a little bit into the history, just because it's important to note before we hit more scriptures, is the Dakota was getting, they was fighting the YT man, and the YT man was kicking their ass, and it was just bad. It was getting bad. So the leader of the Dakota, he came down to the Lakota, which Sitting Bull would be the head at that point in time of the Lakota, and he told them of this enemy. He said, this enemy is nothing like our native, the enemies we used to fight, which is they used to fight the Crow and the Akabara, all right? So he said, this enemy is nothing like, the ones we used to fight, because what I said earlier, it would be an honorable contest. And all of that, but it would be in an honorable way, and then you're not going and hurting the women and the children. You're letting that be. You're not burning down their villages and doing all of that. So Esau don't play by those rules, man. He's trying to take out everybody. This man is a devil, man. He doesn't even respect warfare. He got his little Geneva Convention rules. He's got his treaties, and he breaks these treaties. He breaks every single treaty that he ever made. Right? Look at this ceasefire, how the Amalekites broke it 12 hours into it. So it had to be reorganized. It had to be, changed. And now the ceasefire is what? It's about to end tomorrow night, or tomorrow in general. Right? This devil wants to fight. He loves blood. Let's get that. Ezekiel 35:5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith Yahawah power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sith hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Because once again, he loves to murder. He loves to kill. That's what he does. That's his purpose. Amos 1:11. Thus saith Yahawah, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and he did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath. This is how Esau moves. He keeps his wrath forever. He goes ongoing. He wants to, So the Most High is going to give you that same, what you put in, he's going to give you that same, man. Right? Matter of fact, let me put, Shalaki, let me put do not disturb on. Okay. So, this is the mindset of every single Edomite. You give them the chance to take you out. You give them the chance, an advantage on you. They will use it to get you in a position of servitude, to get you in a position of being their slave and to rule over you. And look at it now. All right? Just look around. That's all you got to do. That's the evidence. Just look around. This was once your land. All right? Gadites, Reubenites, Issacharites, right? Asher, all of us. You know what I'm saying? Going from our land, the Holy Land, and then even going to West Africa, Negro land, which we set up in. Okay? Edomites have came and taken over all those lands. And then, North America, South America, right? Wherever we went, and that's getting back to the point of the documentary. Because in the documentary, when Bull went, the Edomites were sure to follow. All right? They sure to follow, man. So moving on into the story, the chief from Dakota came down to Lakota, and he told him about it. He said, what the white man is doing, he's unaliving women, children, burning down villages. He don't care. He's killing buffalo and just leaving them there. He don't care. He's killing. Esau kills for sport. He doesn't care about earth being connected and you need the animals to continue to reproduce. This is the only individual on this planet that drives an animal into extinction. He drives animals into extinction by hunting them. This is why your tiger can't even live peacefully. Your lion can't even live peacefully. Your elephants, they getting hunted for their tusks. Your whales, the whales are endangered. Killer whales, sharks, everything is in danger when this devil is in rulership, man. All right? So Sitting Bull heard what the chief of Dakota was saying, and he was like, all right, bro, I'm going to have to rock with you. I don't like that, pretty much. So then they went to fight. They had about 3,000 men, and the YT man was coming with his guns, and he had 2 cannons, and he had a lot of guns. All right? And Sitting Bull came with the mindset of okay, we gonna fight them like we fight our other enemies, like we fight the Crow or the Akabar. Akabara, I believe that's what they call them. But just other Gadites. He came with that same mindset and they got obliterated. Because the YT man don't fight like that. He's not fighting you honorable one-on-one. All right? Let's get a precept in Ephesians. We have to be Ephesians 6:10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in Yahawah and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yahawah, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. The strategies and the tactics of this devil. Everything that he's using. From the food to the air pollution to the entertainment system to music, vibrations that he's putting out. Everything that this devil is using, man. All right, you got to be wise when dealing with this devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. you know? And what just came out, what we seeing now is MAGA. They said, let's get that. Right? MAGA is MAGA or Magus, the top of the satanic church. Right? Hierarchy, MAGA, female and male are fifth degree MAGA Magus members of the priesthood representing a high level of mastery. Though not necessarily the administrative head, the top administrative titles are high priest, high priestess, currently held by Magus Peter H. Gilmore and MAGA Peggy Nadron, whatever. Now, we saw Trump show himself as that damn, JC, but it's also like a wizard, how they showed it. Trump, you could type it in just so people could see it. Trump, wizard, Jesus, whatever. Because I don't really know his name, but I saw the image right here. Yeah, that right there. Okay, and this goes back to a wizard on, I believe, I thought. Wait a minute. Yeah. But this in itself is just blasphemy, But he said he's been claiming ever since the campaign he's God's president. Now the point being of bringing this out, maybe I could type in wizard on tarot card. Right there. The Wadi Yahawashi Yahawashi. Okay? Come on, man. Alright. Magus. Right? Trump as the magician tarot card. This is not by a coincidence. It's not a coinkydinky, man. Okay? You got the red, you got the white, you got the red, you got, this is on purpose. This is what you call predictive programming. And this is also witchcraft. This is also psychological warfare. All right? So this is what they're doing. So going back to Ephesians 6 and 12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Okay? This devil operates using spells. Let's go back to Genesis 3. Because he's what? He's a serpent. He's a Nakaf. Not Kaf, Nakash. Alright, Salaki. Let's bring this one in. Let's read it first. Genesis 3 and 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which Yahawah power had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, have power said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. First of all, this should strike you like, why this man trying to go against Yahawah? That's what he said, bro. I don't give a damn what you saying. But a woman, you know how a woman is. Some women, man, that's how they be. Well, but they said down. Nah, fuck what they said. What did Yahweh say? But they said down. Yeah. Okay. So this individual, a serpent, a snake, serpent. All right. As you can see in the Hebrew, it's nakash. Right. And going to the root word, and it means to practice divination, divine, observe signs, learn by experience. So it's not a snake. It's a man that practices witchcraft. How you say somebody is a snake? Man, you a snake. You talk with a serpent's tongue. You're wicked with your words. That's what Esau is. There's many terms for him. A car salesman. You know what I'm saying? A snake oil salesman. That's what they used to say. That's what this devil is, man. He gets you in these contracts, these decrees, these declarations, these laws. He transgressive by wine. Habakkuk 2 and 5. Right? So he practices divination. He's coming at you in all these type of forms. That's why he will give you a picture like this. To put that on your mental. They bold with it. Because those that's in the know, you know what to look for, you gonna see it every time. Those that you caught up in the wine, you drunk, you not sober, you not vigilant, you not gonna see it. You just gonna be like, oh, okay, he believes in Jesus. To practice divination divine, observe signs, learn by experience. Esau, we got to go to that Psalm 64. He sits there and he peeps out everything that you do and he uses it against you. This is exactly what he did to Sitting Bull. This is exactly what he did to the Dakota, Lakota, and the Nakota. Every Gadite, all right, every general, he does this. Because, like I said, all right, let's go back to the story. Sitting Bull was about to fight, and they got beat. So Sitting Bull retreated. And they was like, we can't fight them like this. We cannot fight them like this. So they sat back, they got a plan, they formulated a plan. They drove them into the woods, where they made them follow them to the woods. And they used guerrilla warfare. Now this goes back, you think about the Maccabean period. They was doing that. They know they had lower numbers. They had less firepower. They had less weapons. They had less everything. But they knew the terrain. They knew the environment. And they used it against those Greeks at the time. Against those Edomites, because those still Edomites. So Sitting Bull and them, they used it against them. So when they got those Edomites in the woods, in the mountains, where it was hard to traverse, it was hard to move around, they was kicking their ass. It got to the point where Esau was like, all right, let's make a treaty. Let's make a treaty. Let's make a treaty. You know how he loved making treaties and breaking them. So, hey, Gad went and made a treaty, man. You know? And the treaty was bullshit. The treaty was you get half of the land that you used to have. And what is that? What is that called? A reservation. A reservation. So they was putting Gad on reservations. Sitting Bull ain't like that. So he went and he left and he went to the west. And what did I say earlier? Wherever he went, Esau followed. Because Esau was set up to determine, they was calling it manifest destiny. I believe the president was James K. Polk. All right. So it was their destiny, their God-given right. And hey, it is. Because we're going to get to Deuteronomy 28. All right. It's their God-given right to come and take over. It was the curses, man. You know? So this devil always operates in witchcraft, spells. All right, he moves, and whatever he's putting it out with a purpose. Before we go to Deuteronomy, let's go to Psalm 64. Let's start at the top. A Psalm of David. Hear my voice, O power. In my prayer, preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquities. Workers of iniquity, they know their job. That's their job. That's their work. They go there and they do that every day. They take no days off. There's no vacations, no hiatus. There's no weekends. There's no breaks. Every single day they work iniquity. Iniquity is sin upon sin upon sin. So these Edomites work sin. That's their purpose. Who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, laws, things that they speak, blasphemy, pictures, all right, videos, movies, that's what they do. That they may shoot in secret at the perfect, suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. Secret societies, all this type of stuff that they operating in. Secret signals, building things certain ways with. Look at how Washington, D.C. is built. Why you having an Egyptian, obelisk? Or obelisk, whatever it's called. That it's basically a rod, man. Okay? That's what it is. This shit is mode. But Egyptians used to bring those. They used to build those up. But you have these all over the world in Edomite cities because it's witchcraft. It's a form of witchcraft. It's a form of false god worship. All right? So they shoot in secret. They got things that they showing you, such as car logos on Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon means to I think it believe let's go get that. Let's get that. I think it means God is Nico. How you spell that shit? Nickelodeon in Latin. Right here. I don't care about God. They say it's false. It's not false. If we go deeper into it, that's what it means. I don't care about God. And you go and look at the things that is shown on Nickelodeon. Okay? Yeah, care about God. You know? These cartoon shows, a lot of that is full of Moism. It's full of wickedness. It's psychological warfare against the kids. You know, so this devil is coming and he's striking at every different level. Going back to how when the Dakota tribe came and said he's not honorable in warfare, he's killing the women and the children too. It ain't just no man against man. This devil coming at your women and your children too, man. I was watching this show. Another show on Netflix is the plastic. What is that shit? Man, I watched it all last night. The plastic detox. The plastic detox. Where they showing you how all this different type of plastic is in your body and it's messing up, you know. And we know this, you know what I'm saying? It goes more in depth into it. But how plastic is in everything, it's reducing the population. It's making it where women are having more miscarriages and all this type of stuff. All right. That's why, hey, drink out of glass, drink out of metal, drink out of copper. You know, don't mess with no plastic water bottles if you can prevent it. You know, and just be careful on all that. Esau overloads on plastic, and plastic is bad. That's why you got all these people with, you know, we got microplastics in our body. Every single one of us. Because that's how this society is. And it damages the hormones. It damages your endocrine system. The system that produces hormones. It makes people fat. Jake would never consider that you're getting fat, you're getting bloated, you're getting all that because of the plastics that you're taking in. It ain't the food. It's the food too, but it's also the way that you ingest the food. That goes back into this devil, all right, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune at laying snares. Privately they say, who shall see? They come in every form and fashion to take you out the way. You, your kids, your wife, your grandmother, your granddad, everybody, man. So how can you sit back here and say that this devil is for you or he can be saved? Do you understand the level of wickedness that this guy is on, man? They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep. You got to think. They figured out that plastic was extremely terrible for you. So what do they go and do? They go and build factories to produce more of it. All right? They say, oh yeah, this working. This hurting the Israelites. Let's do more of this. This is reducing population. Let's do more of this. This is turning people mo. Let's do more of this. Let's put these type of chemicals in the food. Let's spray these chemicals constantly every single day. Right? Let's make these hurricanes. Let's spray chemicals in the hurricanes so they'll be more out of control and more wild and more violent. Let's break the levees in New Orleans so the water will flood all the poverty areas. And just say that, let's blame it on Katrina. You know what I'm saying? He searches out how to do wickedness, man. All right? Now taking it back to the story, which I'm saying it's a So Sitting Bull moved west. He moved over to Wyoming, the Wyoming area. Matter of fact, let's get a map. You know. So let's get a. I like this one. Or whatever. Let me get. Dang. Alright. So to reside in was really Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, Kansas, Colorado. Alright. That was their area. That was the Sioux Nation. Then Esau came. Esau was at this point. Esau had took over Texas. They took over a lot of California. You got the Spanish over there, Oregon. All right, and then you got Issachar still in Mexico, and Esau is about to fight Issachar, and and they about to fight really the Spanish because the Spanish had took over Mexico. So they calling them Mexicans and all of that. You got Issachar down there too, but it's heavily Spanish. But they about to fight these wars, right? So you had the Sioux Nation in the middle, and they was pretty much chilling. But Esau decided, hey, let's get them too. Like we said, they was determined to take over the entire country, man. And that was their manifest destiny, right? So Sitting Bull took it upon himself after the treaty was made. He wasn't messing with the reservation. He said, nah, bro, they cut down half of what we used to have. I want to live how I used to live, following the buffalo, hunting the buffalo, doing, living how we supposed to live. I don't want to live how in a trap, in a cage. Because that's what a reservation is. It's restricting you to a certain area. So he left and he went to Wyoming. He went over here to Wyoming, Montana, Idaho area. Right? Now Esau followed him. And what did they do? How do the natives live? They live off the land, hunting buffalo, doing things of that nature. Esau began to, matter of fact, let's get Esau began to, and that's an insult in itself to have a team named after this individual. All right. William Buffalo Bill Cody, 1846 to 1917, was a renowned American soldier, bison hunter, and showman who embodied the American Old West. So this is your Edomite's Edomite. He embodied, all right, the American Old West. He earned his nickname supplying buffalo meat to railroad crews and gained global fame with his Wild West touring show. Awarded the Medal of Honor in 1872 for service as an Army scout, he was a key figure in shaping the romanticized myth of the frontier. This man, this is the true story, all right? He unalived, he killed, took out over 4,000 buffalo, and that was a feat in itself, by himself. And he was just leaving the carcasses there. This is what the Edomites was doing at that point in time. Because like we said, the Gadites hunted the buffalo, and they hunted them with a balance. They would kill a buffalo, use that. You could eat, man, a buffalo, you could eat that meat. Maybe 2 buffaloes you could eat all year. You could eat at least one you could eat for a couple of months. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's good meat too. It's better than, a bison burger is better than, I like it better than cow. Right? So, they was just killing them for sport. Esau does these things for sport. Right? So this individual was rewarded these type of things, an Army scout. This is all during the time when they was fighting Sitting Bull and the Sioux Nation. All right. Let me go back. Okay, because I wanted to point this thing out. This I found this point interesting. And then I'm going to get back to finish the story. At age 14, Sitting Bull, then known as Jumping Badger, earned his renowned name by counting coup, the act of touching an enemy in battle on a Crow warrior. Now let's get this over here. It explains it. No, not this one, but where is it at? Right here. It explains it better. The action is known as counting coup, a traditional Lakota practice where warriors gain honor by touching an enemy in battle without killing or harming them, often considered a higher act of bravery than killing from a distance. Now, who this remind you of? King David. Let's go to, what's that? Yep, 24. And I'll start at the top. And it came to pass when Saul was returned from following the Philistines, that it was told him, saying, Behold, David is in the wilderness of Engedi. Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of all Israel and went to seek David and his men upon the rocks of the wild goats. And he came to the sheepcotes by the way where was a cave. And Saul went in to cover his feet. And David and his men remained in the sides of the cave. And the men of David said to him, Behold, the day of which Yahawah said unto thee, Behold, I will deliver thine enemy into thine hand, that thou mayest do to him as it shall seem good unto thee. Then David arose and cut off the skirt of Saul's robe privately. He caught Saul. Saul did not know, all right, and he let Saul go. Saul didn't know what happened in the cave. It was dark, you know. So that's the same act of counting coup. This is what sitting to one of his rivals, you know. And I just found that interesting. Like that was fire, because I was like, yo, that's what King David did to Saul. You know what I'm saying? But it's showing, furthermore, what it's really showing is the honor that he had, the respect, in the sense of in battle, man. Like I said, the Gadites fought. They had an honorable sense of battle. They wasn't just killing to kill. It wasn't just murderous. No, it was an honorable sense of battle, man. It was an honor to fight your fellow Gadites in that sense. You know what I'm saying? And it came with, every time you took out an individual or you did a crazy feat in the war and all that, you would get a eagle, you would get a feather, you know, from a bird, a white feather. And it was said that Sitting Bull earned like over 30, 40 feathers, but he only wore one just to show humility. You know, going back to Jake's Israelites, we have a lot of humility, compassion. It wasn't about being brag, you know. So verse 5, and it came to pass afterward that David's heart smote him because he had cut off Saul's skirt. And he said unto his men, Yahawah forbid that I do thing unto my master. Yahawah's anointed to stretch forth mine hand against him, seeing he is the anointed of Yahawah. So David stayed his servants with these words and suffered them not to rise against Saul. But Saul rose up out of the cave and went on his way. Having command over your men in that type of way, well, you're letting it be. Hey, don't touch. You know, we're not gonna fight. Let it be. Even though they want to, because all tragic stuff that was done to us and all that was wicked. Yeah, he was moving around wicked. But you have control over your men. That's the same sense of, look at us now. All right? We waiting on Yahawah Shem Yahawashi. The order is wait. Wait until I what? You know, I gather the nations, deliver them to, you know what I'm saying? Zephaniah 3 and 8. So we're waiting. All right, and ultimately it's Yahawah Shem Yahawashi and then King David. Right? That's right under. So you gotta, it's a sense of honor, it's a sense of an appointed time when this place must be took out, when this place must be took down. You know? I'm beginning to wrap it up. Let me go over to Deuteronomy 28 and around 25 is a good one. Yeah, but it's another one I want to get really. Yeah, I'll go down here to 29 too. Yahawah shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. That's a scattering. We were scattered from one corner to the other corner. from all four winds of the earth. We were scattered, right? Shall be meat above unto all fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. Yahawah will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with the emerods, and with the scab, and with the itch, whereof thou canst not be healed. Yahawah shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. Right? You see Jake out here in a delusional state, in madness and blindness, astonishment of heart. Okay? Down bad. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and evermore, and no man shall save thee. So as much as Sitting Bull did, the narrative is what? Esau was always going to come with it. It didn't matter. Esau was always going to come with it. So no man is going to save us, man. Right? We need Yahawashi in that angelic body coming with those chariots to get us up out of this position. Go down here. Verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. From the Lakota, the Sioux Nation, all right, having freedom and enjoying life and doing all of that, but they was chilling. You know, they had all this land. They was chilling. All right. Esau came and he knocked them down. It's all through the curses, man. All right. Even before that, you got the Cherokee, Blackfoot, you know, the nations, the Gadites out to the east that felt it. They were being colonized. They were being took over. They are now part of the colonies. You know, they were being pushed to the west. All right. So, you know, it was, it's the curses, man. Verse 44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahawah thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. We fell off. And that even goes back forth to before we came to America. You know, Northern Kingdom came over here, and they came over here seeking to keep their laws, commandments, and statutes, but they fell off. Right? They was worshiping, and they would, some Gadites would be close because they would say Yahawah, you know, they would say things like that, or the Great Spirit, you know. But over time and stuff just trickled out, etc., etc. You know, and it was meant for this devil to have an appointed time to rule. So there's nothing we could do. It was just our time was over. It was time for us to be took out the way for these commandments to come. I mean, these curses to come and to be over us because of what we did before. And yeah, you'd be like, you know, well, everybody didn't, well, we get punished as a nation. You know, we get punished as a nation. 46. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever, because thou servest not Yahawah thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Yahawah shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness, and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. These reservations, these chains, slavery, right? All of that. A yoke of iron is beyond chains on you. We still have a yoke of iron on us. All right? Taxes, okay? Bills, registration, whatever it be. That yoke of iron is in many forms. It's not, we ain't in slavery because we ain't got chains. Yeah, you still in slavery, man. Some mental slavery, that's the worst type of slavery to be. Give me any plague but the plague of the mind. You know? Jake is plagued in their mind. Going back to that astonishment. The Yahawah shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. The mind. You know what I'm saying? So, Let me see if I had anything else on that. I think that's pretty much it. Yep. Yeah, that's it, man. You know what I'm saying? Good documentary once again. It's on the Netflix. All right. It's 2-part. It's like 3 hours total. You know, it's a good little watch. And you know, I enjoyed it. Well, I gotta finish it really tonight, more of it. But that first part was fire and it hits. You know. But hey, with that being said, the water, Yahawashi, I pray this was edifying, giving all praises be to Yahawah, Sham, Yahawashi, Shem Kakwadash, and double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone, which rule well and teach well, and sincerity taught us this truth. And shalom to the Lord's hopeful elect. As always, Kwam Yasha.